Everybody. Good morning on this second to the last Thursday of the year 2022. Yesterday was the first day of winter, and I always love the first day of winter, even though I don't like winter. But I always love the first day of winter because that means that the days are now going to start getting longer. So when I learned that several years ago, I just always started rejoicing on the first day of winter. So I'm so glad that we went through that yesterday. We're on our way. I hope he is preparing for the storms that are coming. Hoping that any of you listening have not lost your power and it's cold outside. And I hope we won't lose our power because it's going to be stupid cold. That's what I call stupid cold. And everybody needs their heat. So if you have a generator, get it out. If you don't have a generator, make sure you have a lot of candles and stuff to light them with, and make sure your phones are charged. And if you don't have a phone, have a flashlight that has a good battery in case we lose power. It promises to be really windy and really cold for the next couple of days. So we just have to be ready for it. I also wanted to share with you that I was going to read a different meditation this morning, but this season is a season where even though the television talks about all the great joy and you got the Christmas music and the bowls and all of that everywhere, what I do know is that for many people, this is a horribly sad season. Um, it's sad, it's painful, and people are experiencing loss. I remember the first Christmas after my mom died. It didn't even feel like Christmas. It just didn't feel like it. It was the emptiness. I can still feel it. And the truth of the matter is that many families are feeling that. Many families are feeling the losses that they endured over COVID. Many people are just experiencing loss in a number of different in a number of different ways, and it's just a sad season. Suicide rates go up, domestic violence incidences go up, um, and that's in countering the message that we see on television, where everybody's happy and sitting around a Christmas tree and singing songs and decorating the tree and have big bowls on big presents. It's not like that for a lot of people. Many people are still on the streets, and they're going to be cold. Some of them don't want to go into shelters. They don't want to go into shelters. So they experience the loss of an important part of their life somewhere along the line. And they're going to experience loss. And many of them will not make it. If you stay outside when the wind chill factor is going to be as bad as it's going to be, you're in trouble. And we have done ministry out there, and we have walked past people who are frozen to death on the sidewalk. It is awful. It is awful. So, because I was thinking about how painful it is to endure loss at any time, but especially during the holiday times when people get together for family gatherings, I thought I would go back to day 70. Now, I know I have read this meditation before, but I think it's really appropriate for now. And for those of you who are perhaps listening for the first time, we do this because I wrote this book called Rest for the Justice Seeking Soul. And it's a group of meditations. There's a whole bunch of them. I write meditations every single Tuesday, and a publisher, Whitaker House, saw some of them and wanted to do this book, and they published it. So my goal is to do a second volume because I write these meditations every single Tuesday, and so I just want to get some more of them out. But on this one, today is day 70, the deafening silence of loss. The deafening silence of loss. In the scripture is, blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And it reads, after we experience the loss of a loved one, we experience a weird silence and a gaping hole. The busy, bustling world continues to hum all around us, but we are lost in the fog of silence and grief. The silence only grows deeper by the day. It begins the moment our loved one takes his or her final breath. Our world stops. It stops. And we grapple with the loss. Within moments, emptiness mixes in with the grief. As we leave the physical presence of our deceased loved one, the silence follows. We can almost hear it. Pain rushes in, but it's the silence that makes the pain so much worse than we expected it to be. The silence doesn't just occur when we suffer personal loss either. It also comes when a beloved cultural figure passes. So yesterday, Football Harris died. For those of you who like football, you'll remember him. He was the one who made that amazing, come up with the divine pass. I'm getting it wrong, but Franco Harris was a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he died. He was fine, Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday evening or sometime he died. And then there's Twitch, who died of suicide, and I mean, there's just so many people who have left us culturally, societally, if that can make up a word. When Dr. Martin Luther King was killed, the silence was there. When Prince and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston died, the silence was there. In its persistence, this silence is a roar that reminds us that things are not the same, nor will they ever be. The silence hurts. It haunts us. When we get into the car, it is already there. When we walk into the house, it is already there. When we pass places that remind us of our loved ones, it is there. It comes up with the dawn and refuses to set with the sun. It can wake us up with a jolt in the middle of the night. It can be so loud in our spirits that it drowns out the voices of those trying to comfort us. No matter how hard we try, we are unable to get rid of the painful experience of loss. Every single one of us have and will continue to have bouts of silence caused by loss. Loss is a given in life. We cannot live unless we experience loss. Don't you hate that? But that's the truth. We cannot live unless we experience loss. God did not give us a handbook on how to handle it. We don't know how to cope with the silence. We cannot force it into a locked closet or pack it away or send it off. We must learn to live with it. We must know that it is coming and understand that it does not care about how much pain it causes. The silence is not assuaged by words, nor is it persuaded by the presence of joy. It follows us. It sits with us. It reminds us of that which we would rather forget. Over time, silence begins to lose its potency. But it never completely goes away. Silence is a part of the grieving process. And as there will always be loss, there will always be silence. If we can convince ourselves not to fight it, but to recognize it and write it out, we may just survive. When caught in a dangerous riptide on the beach, swimmers are taught to relax and let it take you to a place where the current isn't so strong. To fight it, I'm talking about the current, is to let it take you farther out to sea as you become exhausted and eventually drown. Maybe we should learn to ride the current caused by grief. Only then will we slowly begin to hear the loving voices around us telling us that life goes on in spite of our loss and the hole it has caused. Amen and amen. It was day 70 from my book, Rest for the Justice-Seeking Soul. And I hope that ministered to somebody, because I know a lot of people who are just feeling like really bad, really, really bad. And I remember, like I said, how I felt when my mother died. I was a teenager, but when she died, I thought, oh, the Christmas didn't even seem the same. I didn't even want to do it. It's weird. And I went through all of what I described, seeing the places where we used to go, seeing her face in the window, because when I used to go out to school or go out to my little jobs, she would stand in her bedroom window and she would look out and she would see. So I remember all of that. And it's very painful. I couldn't go into the church where she had a funeral for a minute. I just couldn't do it without seeing her casket at the window where they used to keep the caskets at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Detroit, where I grew up. I couldn't go into that hallway without seeing that. So, but there's a silence because you have to deal with it. You have to figure out. And really, if truth be told, as time went on, I realized I didn't deal with it very well at all. But it was there. It was there. So I know what I'm talking about. And I'm just hoping that the words from this meditation help you in some kind of way. So that is it for today. It is the Thursday before Christmas. And even though I just heard something this morning about how Christianity became synonymous with capitalism, I hope that your Christianity is a little bit further ahead of your penchant and your love for capitalism. I hope that you didn't go into too much debt buying stuff, stuff that, we don't need. We buy stuff that we want. And it's fun to spend money, but it's not fun to have to pay the bills. So I hope that you didn't. overspend. And what I really hope is that everybody has a blessed time with their family and loved ones. Maybe if you're in a place where a loved one has passed, before you do anything, before you open presents, before you eat a bit of food, a mouthful of food, stop and say that person's name out loud and give yourselves and your family a moment of silence to welcome in that person's spirit and remember how important that person has been in your life. I hope that's something that maybe some of you can do. So anyway, that's it. Have a wonderful Christmas. To my Jewish friends, happy Hanukkah. The day after Christmas begins Kwanzaa. So I hope that you're practicing it and teaching those principles to your children. I think it's a Deuteronomy 6 moment right at his frontlets between their eyes. Teach our children those principles. And we will continue to be able to get through all the muck and the mire that we have to get through in this world, which only likes some people and not others, or maybe not others so much. So have a good holiday season. I'll see you next Thursday. Take good care. Bye bye.